Hello everyone, welcome back to MalStorm Gaming. My name is Malachi Gardner, and today I'm going to be continuing on with my playthrough of the BattleQuest mode for BattleCon. I hope you all enjoy the video. Alright, so I have gone ahead and set up the third room of the dungeon, which is the Whispering Room, which has these 4 wisps here. Now, these wisps are kind of interesting because they have some special rules. First, they have an ability that says that they cannot be damaged by a player who moved this beat. So that means that we need to be standing still to hit them. So things like a burst or our drive could not do any damage to them. So that's going to be one thing we need to take into consideration. Now the second thing that makes them interesting is that they only have one action. They have the flicker action, which has a range of X, a power of 2, a priority of 3, and a stun guard of 0. Now, what is this range of X? Well, when you draw one of these tokens for a Dark Wisp, that is going to be the range. So then the range would be 4. So if this guy drew this 4 here, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and it would hit here. And let's see, let's take one more example. This is a 2, so if this one got 2, the range would be here. So that's going to be kind of interesting. And so, let's go ahead and select our starting attack pairs. So I did change up the attack pairs that start in our discard piles. I put Burst inside our second discard pile, and then took Grasp inside of our hand, and that's just because I think for these really weak enemies, you just need to get one fast hit in there, and then you just defeat them. There's really no need for power, it's just a need for speed. And also, with this particular room, we don't want to move. That's not actually going to help us. With Burst in our discard pile, there's going to be fewer cards in our hand that will force us to move, and so that'll make it a little easier to attack them. Another thing that's going to be interesting with this room is Gravity, and this has a range of +1 to +3, so that's going to be +1 minimum and +3 maximum range. And then it says if you would advance, instead you may pull that amount, and then if you would retreat, instead you may push that amount. So that ability will be very useful so that we actually can use this style if we were to, say, play a drive. Then we can, instead of advancing, which remember, if we move at all, such as advancing or retreating, then we cannot hit any of these guys. So if we used Gravity when we're doing our drive, then we could pull them instead, and that would get around their ability. So let's go ahead and deal out these tokens here and select our attack pair. So, like I said, a fast attack is one of the best things in this particular room with all of these really weak monsters. When you're fighting against someone who has more health, then you're going to need to change up your tactics, but in these rooms where you're just fighting these enemies who have 3 health, you just need to get them with some sort of attack that has high priority. Now, we do actually know exactly what priority they're going to have, which is 3, because the flicker ability is the only ability that they're going to do. So that is one kind of nice thing. So as long as we have more than 3 priority, we know for a fact that we're going to go first. I think I'm going to go with Shock. So this is going to give us a -1 to power and then a +1 to priority. And then so before acting, we had to advance or retreat 3 or more spaces. But if you cannot move at least 3 spaces, don't move at all. Now, that rule right there is not a rule that's specific to this card. It's just a general rule, but this is just a reminder. So if you have to move a certain number of spaces, and you can't actually move the full spaces, you don't move at all. So that's one thing to keep in mind with abilities like this. And occasionally they will have these reminders on them to just help you remember that. But what this means is that if we were to advance, we could go 1, 2, but we can't go 3 more spaces, so we can't advance. So we can't go this way. Now if we were to go this way, that's also 1, 2, so which means that we actually can't move at all, and so then we would still be able to attack them. Then it says hit at range 1, you ignore guard, which is just going to be kind of nice. And then we could use any one of our tokens or anything like that. I think I am going to use this auto deflector, which is going to give us 2 armor. So we will be able to absorb 1 hit from these enemies. Finally, I'm going to activate this stim card right here, which is going to give us +2 power, and then that will give us enough attack to defeat one of these enemies. So now let's reveal everything and determine their range. Alright, 1, 4, 6, and then 3. So we know that all of their priorities are going to be 3, and then our priority is 6, so we're going first. And then I'm going to deal 2 minus 1 plus 2 damage, so that's going to be a total of 3 damage. And this guy is the only one in range, so I'm going to take this monster out. Okay, then we are going to resolve the... Now we're going to resolve the enemy's abilities, and it doesn't really matter which order we do them in. So it doesn't matter which order we do them in because they all have the same priority, which is 3. We'll start on the left and go to the right. So this is a 1 range, so that's going to go here and miss. This is going to be a 6, which is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we have a 3 over here, which is going to go 1, 2, 3. So none of them actually end up hitting us. Alright, then we are going to cycle everything through and place our auto deflector right here. We're going to gain 1 force. And then we're also going to take 1 force and put it aside, because remember, if we complete this room in 5 beats or less, we go to room E after this, but otherwise we're going to go to room C. So we need to keep track of that and see which room we should go into. So we're going to actually have to lose 1 life from the sustainability here, so we are going down to 34 health, which is no problem. Then we have our Toxic Burst in our hand. Alright, so now let's go ahead and select our next attack pair. I think that I am going to go for a shot ability here. And so this is going to have a really high range. We could take any of these people out, and then we'll have enough power to actually defeat one. And then we don't have enough priority, so we're going to need to buff our priority in some way to be able to go before them. Alright, so this card will work. If we do Diffusion Shot, then we will have enough range to hit anyone. And then we will have 3 minus 1 power, but then we still have the Stim card over here, which gives us +1, so we'll still have 3 power. And then we will have 3 priority, which is enough to go first. And then we will be able to deactivate a Stim afterwards if we so choose. So let's do Diffusion Shot, and then we will ante this Healing Stone to heal 1 life. So now we're back up to our maximum health. Then let's deal out these tokens to all of the enemies and see what their ranges are. Alright, 1, 6, and 2, which is almost exactly what these enemies had last time. But, of course, we're revealing half the tiles anyway, so let's go ahead and do our turn. And this guy's going to miss us. This guy's also going to miss us, and then this guy's going to miss us as well. So all these enemies are going to miss us with their attacks, so I think I'm just going to pick this one over here and hit this enemy. So I'm going to push it 1 to 2 spaces, and then it's going to be chipped 2 if it is at the edge of the arena. So it's going to chip 2, lose 2 life. Then we're going to damage it and defeat it. And we're going to deactivate this Stim right here. And that is defeated. And then this enemy is going to go, and it's going to hit us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're not there. It's going to miss us. And then finally this enemy is going to go for 1, 2, and miss us as well. Finally, we have this end ability that says we're going to close as far as possible. So we're going to go right there, and now we're adjacent to that enemy. Alright, cycle everything. Gain 1 force. We have our switch dodge in our hand now. And that was the second beat in that room. Alright, now we can pick our next attack pair, and I think I'm going to go with a strike, which is going to have enough power and priority to go first and then defeat an enemy. So we can just take any card right here. You know what, let's just say Toxic. This is just going to give us a +1 to our priority, and then it'll double the stats on all of our revealed Stims, and then if we had 2 or more active Stims, we're going to close 3. So that's just going to be a very basic attack. And then let's shuffle everything up. Alright, 6 and 4. And both of those are going to miss us, but first we're going to hit this enemy right here for 4 damage actually, and that will definitely defeat it. Then this enemy's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and miss us. Then we have our auto deflector back, and able to use that. And then we have our shock grasp that we can use as well. And I also gain 1 force. So now we have 5 force. And we can spend that if we want. I think that I'm going to use gravity grasp, which is going to give us a minimum range of 2. And then a maximum range of 4, which is going to be able to put us in range of this enemy so we can hit it. And then we will have a total of 2 power. So then I will anti-power up by spending 2 force. So now we have enough. We have 3 power, which is going to be enough. And then we will be able to hit them. So let's go ahead and shuffle this up and take this token right here. It's going to be a 1. Okay, so we're going to go first. Our range is 1, 2 minimum, and then 4 maximum, so we can hit this enemy right here. And then we can push or pull 1 space, so we'll just pull 1 space. And then we have an optional ability, which we're going to just ignore, of pushing or pulling 1 to 3 spaces. And then we're going to hit this enemy and defeat it with our 3 power. And so that is going to be that room. Now, I did forget to place one of these force tokens here at the end of one of those beats, but it did take us 4 beats to defeat all those enemies, 1 enemy per beat. And so we are going to claim the bonus and go to room E. Alright, so now we're going to go to the Filthy Ooze room. If we had taken more than 5 beats to defeat this Whispering room, we would have had to go to this room right here, which is the Werewolf Den. And then we would go to the Putrid room after that one. But instead, we're going to go to the Filthy Ooze room, and then the Horde of Imps up here. And then, no matter which path you take, you're going to go to this final boss room right here. So, we're going to set up the Filthy Ooze room, which has a reward of clear this room in 10 beats or less to give monsters in the next room 3 less starting HP. Alright, so that'll be interesting. We have 2 Wisps, and then we have a Vile Ooze, which this guy has 14 hit points. So that's going to be our first enemy that has more than 3 hit points. Yay. And then it has an ability that says whenever you enter into a space adjacent to this monster, or it enters into a space adjacent to you, suffer chip 1. Okay, so that's going to be interesting. And then it has 4 abilities. So we just want to stay away from this Vile Ooze as much as possible. And then if we beat him and the Wisps in 10 beats or less, then the enemies in the next room will have 3 fewer hit points, which would be wonderful. Alright, so now this room's all set up, and this room is going to have 2 things that are going to be first for us. First, this is the first room that has an enemy with more than 3 health, which is going to drastically change how we approach defeating the monsters in this room. The second thing is that this is a Vile Ooze. Now these are Dark Wisps, which means that we have 2 different enemy types in the same room. So we're going to need to remember that these 2 enemies over here on the sides are going to be Dark Wisps, and then this enemy in the middle is going to be the Vile Ooze. So that'll just be something we need to remember. Shouldn't be too difficult, but just something to keep in mind. Alright, now just a reminder for the special abilities for these enemies. If we move in a beat, we cannot damage these Wisps. Then, if we move adjacent to this Ooze, or he moves adjacent to us, we're going to lose 1 life. Okay? So those are the 2 rules that we need to keep in mind, and then we can just start playing. So, I think that I want to take out the Wisps before dealing with the Ooze. Alright, so I'm going to start with a diffusion shot, and then I'm going to ante this stim card right here, which is going to give us a total of 4 power. Then we'll be able to deactivate the stim at the end of the round. Then I'm going to take this auto deflector and ante that as well. So then let's go ahead and see what these enemies do. Alright, this first Wisp right here is going to have a range of 5. And then this Ooze right here is going to have a 2, which means that he is going to do a rollout, which is a range 1, power 5, priority 2, stun guard 0, and then before activating, he's going to advance up to 3 spaces. So that's nasty. Finally, we have a 4 range for this wisp over here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That guy's not going to hit us. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This guy's definitely not going to hit us. The Vile Ooze has a priority of 2, and these guys have a priority of 3, and then I also have a priority of 3, which means that I am going to go first. Now I have a choice. Either I can defeat this guy, or I can target this Ooze over here for 4 damage, and then I could stun him, because he's got a stun guard of 0. And we've never actually had to deal with stunning enemies, because the enemies that we've encountered all just have 1 health, all just have 3 health, and so whatever you do to them is going to kill them. But with this Vile Ooze here, we're not actually going to be able to defeat him with this hit. So then we could actually stun him. So if we were to hit him, we do 4 damage to him. Because we will be doing more damage to them than his stun guard, we would stun him, then he wouldn't be able to attack us or anything like that, which is probably the better option. So I'm actually going to hit this guy over here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That is within my minimum range, which is 1, and then my maximum range, which is 5. So I'm going to hit him. Then I can push him 1 or 2 spaces. So I'll just push him 1. And then if he's at the edge of the arena, it's going to do him 2 more damage, but that's not going to apply. And then I'm going to do 4 damage to him. And then I can deactivate this stem. Alright, then this guy's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and miss. Finally, this guy over here is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and miss as well. Finally, this Ooze is going to go, but he is stunned, so it's not going to do anything. Alright, so that is going to be the first beat here. And again, we have 10 beats on our timer, so I'll mark that over here, like usual. And if we can get through this, then we'll have an easier time in the next room. Alright, so next I'm going to do a gravity drive, and then I am going to power up by spending 2 force. And then I'm also going to use this stem card right here, which is going to give me a total power of 6. So I'm just going to do a ton of damage, and hopefully you actually hit something. So let's see. Alright, we've got a range of 2 for this guy right here, which means he is going to hit us. So that's something we need to consider. Then this guy right here is going to go and he's going to do another rollout, which means he's going to advance up to 3 and then do 5 damage to us if he's within range 1. Finally, this last wisp is going to have a range of 3. Okay, so our priority is going to be 4, which means that we are higher than the wisp's 3 priority and the Ooze's 2 priority. So we are going to be able to go first, and we have a before activating effect of advance 1 to 2 spaces, but because we have gravity, it says that if you would advance, instead you may pull that amount. So let's go ahead and pull this enemy closer to us. Let's see, our minimum range is 2 and our maximum range is 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Pulling in 1 space would put us in range. So then we're going to take a shot, and we are within range, so we're going to be able to hit him. And then we have this optional effect right here that says we can push or pull 1 to 3 spaces. So, do I want to do that? Yeah, I think I do. I think I actually do want to pull him all the way next to me so that I can hit him with a powerful strike next turn. And then I'm going to do 3, 4, 5, 6 damage to him, which is going to reduce him to 4 health. Now, we did just move that Ooze adjacent to us, so we do have to lose 1 life, but in the end, I think it is going to be worth it. So, then we are going to go to the Wisp right here, and he's going to do a range of 2 and hit us for 2 more damage. Then this Wisp over here is going to do a range of 3 and completely miss. This Ooze is stunned because he has a stun guard of 0 and we dealt him 6 damage. So he has not had to do anything. And that was our second beat inside this room, and we gain an extra force. Alright, so now we have 2 force, which is going to allow us to do another overload ability. Alright, so now I'm going to do the strike here, and then I'm going to add onto it a toxic, which is going to double the amount of power we get from this. So I'll give us 2 power, so we will have a total of 6 power right here. which will be enough to defeat the Vile Ooze. And then I'm going to ante this healing stone to gain 1 life. Okay, so we are at 33 life currently. Alright, so now we're ready to deal these tokens out to the enemies. The first Wisp has a range of 5. The Ooze is going to do another rollout. And then the final Wisp is going to have a range of 4. Alright, our priority is 4. And then the Oozes is 2. And then the Wisps have 3 as usual. So now I'm going to target this enemy right here with my range of 1. And then I'm going to do 4, 5, 6 damage because it's doubled, and then that is going to be enough to defeat this Ooze. Then this Wisp is going to attack 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and miss, and then this Wisp is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 and miss as well. Cycle everything through. We have our auto deflector now, and we do have to lose 1 life for having our stim card, and actually I did forget to do it last time, so we have to lose 2 life, 1 for this turn and 1 for the last turn. And then we put 1 force on the timer and 1 force for our pool. Alright, so I'm going to do the shot base and then the diffusion style, and that'll give us a total power of 3, and then a priority of 3 as well, which will be enough to go first, and then beat up all these bad guys. And you know what? Let's just take the armor for 2, just in case. Alright, so he's going to go 6. And then we're going to have a 3 for over here. Both of those are going to miss me. And then I'm going to take out one of them. So we're going to go first. And then, let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, we are out of range of this guy, so we're going to hit this guy right here. We can push him 1 or 2 spaces, and now he's on the edge of the board, so he's going to suffer chip 2. Then we are going to deactivate the stim with our damage ability, and then we're going to deal 3 damage to this enemy, defeating it. And then this enemy is going to go with a range of 1, 2, 3, and miss us. Okay. We'll add 1 token to the force pool for our timer, and then 1 to our force pool for spending. So now let's see what do we want to do. All right, so I think we could do a gravity drive, and then we could pull 2 spaces. So if you go here, and then we'd have a range of 4 for our maximum, so that would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, yeah, so that'll work for hitting him. And so we're gonna pull him 2 spaces instead of advancing, and then we're going to have a minimum range of 2 and a maximum range of 4, so that we will be able to hit him right there. And then we are going to have 3 power and 4 priority, so we will go first and have enough power to deal 3 damage to this enemy to defeat it. He's going to have a range of 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but we're actually going to end up pulling him first. So we're going to go first because he has a priority of 3, we have 4, so we're going to, instead of advancing 1 to 2 spaces, we're going to pull him 2 spaces right here, and then we're going to have a range of 2 to 4, so we're going to deal 3 damage to this enemy. And before we do that, we can push or pull 1 to 3 spaces. I'm just going to ignore that ability and deal 3 damage to this enemy, who is now defeated. And now we have gone through and defeated all of the enemies, and so we're going to actually clear the room. And as you can see, it took us 4 plus that one we just did, so 5 beats to clear this room. And that is going to be enough to gain the reward, which says that monsters in the next room have 3 less starting HP. Which is interesting because the next room, as you can see, it's the second to last room, is the Horde of Imps. And it has 2 Imps and then a Werewolf. Now, the Imps have 3 HP, which means that if their starting HP is reduced by 3, that means that their starting HP is 0, which is weird. And so they're just going to die immediately, so I'm not even going to have to place them. And then it says that this room is cleared when the Werewolf is defeated. Whenever an Imp is defeated, spawn a new Imp in the furthest unoccupied space from your current space. Now, the interesting thing is that all enemies have 3 less starting HP, so we can just ignore all the Imps inside this room. Unless I'm misreading something, I'm pretty sure that's how that works, which is going to be very cool. So we just have to deal with this one werewolf, and then we'll move on to the boss. So the werewolf, let's just read its stats. It has 12 HP, and then it has +2 power for the rest of the duel when another werewolf is defeated. Now, there's going to be no other werewolf defeated, so that ability's not going to do anything. And then it's only going to start with 9 HP, so that'll be pretty easy. And then we have some of these abilities here. So that next room actually is probably going to be pretty easy. We're just going to have one werewolf with 9 HP to deal with, and then we can move on to the boss. But that will happen in the next episode because this is where I'm going to end it. And we actually did a decent amount. We got through 2 entire rooms, and then we have only lost 4 HP. So we have 31 HP. Now, I keep on forgetting about this, but we do have a life potion. Now, we can empty this potion during the anti-phase, and then it'll be destroyed or removed from the game, but it'll allow us to regain 4 life, which will put us at maximum life. And so that's something that I will hopefully remember to do during the next episode, so that we will have maximum life going into the next room. But for now, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope you found it useful to you, and I hope you are as excited as I am to continue and find out what happens to Clint Hyde and whether or not we'll be able to get through the next room and then defeat the boss, which has some interesting rules to it, which I'm excited for you guys to see that. In the meantime, please like this video and subscribe to MalStorm Gaming to see more content just like this, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Happy gaming!